Hey, what's up, guys? So today I wanted to bring you something from this book here, "The Energy of Money" by Maria Nemeth, PhD. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. And I was looking at the different chapters in here, and one of the chapters kind of struck me, and it is the chapter titled "Driven Behavior Wastes Money Energy." And the reason that it struck me was because, we hear all the time about, the hustle, be driven, uh, grinding, you know, and that's stuff that, I pretty much have agreed with that, it takes effort, um, to be on the grind, to be working hard and all those things. And I mean, it just makes sense, right? Sowing and reaping uh, should be important. So anyway, in reading the chapter, it's just interesting some of the things she talks about. Um, so you've heard "just do it." So one of the driven behaviors she talks about is don't just do it, because basically it's when you just do it, what is it that you're actually just doing? Have you really thought about the things that you are doing, and that those things are, lined up with what are the right things for you to do? The idea of, like, just grind, 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 and you can rest when you're dead. One of the other things she talked, and what does that mean? Like, grind, 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 and rest when you're dead. I know that, for me personally, when I don't get enough sleep, I'm less productive and less effective the following day. So, this idea of, like, working, and you can rest when you're dead, but then the hours that you are working, how effective are you being? And I know for me, when I don't get enough hours of sleep, it's harder for me to focus. I lose attention more quickly. And I really get less done, it seems, because I'm having to pull myself back into focus. I'm more easily distracted. Um, and another piece that she talks about is it authentic, or am I driven? Uh, she says, how do we distinguish between an authentic choice and one driven by fears and monkey mind? Monkey mind is something that she talks about, which is basically our mind getting in the way of our successes and attracting money. When you've made an authentic choice, it just seems right, and it's deeply satisfying, right? So the grind and the hustle, it's interesting that we do that, and I guess good that we do that, but are we grinding and hustling for the right reason? We could be grinding and hustling in completely the wrong direction. Now, I know some people will disagree and they say just grind, is it shows that you're working hard, and whoever's working the hardest wins and that kind of stuff. Well, there's plenty of people out there that work really, really hard and are not winning. In other words, they're working super hard, however many jobs they're working, or however many hours they're working, and they're not winning. So if that's true for some people, then it isn't just about grinding, grinding, grinding. It can't be. Otherwise, everybody that grinded more than other people would be winning more, right? That's common sense. So it's, what you're grinding towards, or what you're grinding, working hard on, not just the grind itself. So I think that's something to consider. Let's see what else she talks about that was interesting. Let's see. So let me just read you from one of these things here. just on the just do it, because that's one of the things that kind of struck me. You may not be aware of it, but just do it is a slogan that greets you first thing every morning as you snatch 10 minutes for the newspaper or your first cup of coffee. Now, the newspaper lets you realize, when this book was written. Actually, it's not that old. I think it's like probably the 90s or something like that. Let's take a quick look. It was, 1997. So, okay, first cup of coffee. If there is almost, it is there in almost every ad you read or commercial you listen to as you head for work. It walks with you during the day while you check off items on your to-do list and waits for you as you take your tired body and mind to the bookstore to buy the latest primer on peak performance. The ubiquitous phrase is always completed with an exclamation mark, just do it. Think about it. For most of us, life is all about peak performance. Isn't that so true, right? We're looking at Tony Robbins and all these different people, and I love all that stuff. And about performing at your peak level so that you can accomplish all these different things and do all these, have all the success. And so we're grinding for success, always grinding for success. Is about peak performance, doing more and doing it better and faster. A recent billboard ad for a health club shows a woman hitting a punching bag next to a 3-foot tall letter that reads, "You can rest when you're dead." We have our lists, our goals, and our plans, and to accompany them, we have endless activity. We're sleep deprived, exhausted, busier than ever before, and yet our dreams still seem distant, right? So grinding, and then we're just like tired and still searching. That's because we can't reach them by just any kind of action. That's something that's in italics. That's because we can't reach them just by any kind of action. Many of us are caught up in the cycle of driven behavior. Activity in the physical domain is not anchored to our life's intentions in the metaphysical domain. Driven behavior is a lot like flies buzzing in fast circles on a hot day. It produces a lot of noise and activity, but leaves behind nothing of substance. There's no connection at all to our purpose, direction, aim, or dreams, and all the driven behavior in the world can't take us any closer to them. So, first of all, check out this book, The Energy of Money. It's an interesting book. And if, that's been you sort of like got this thing where you're grinding and hustling. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying if it hasn't been working, you've been doing it for a while, then you might want to take a look and see, what you're grinding towards. Or are you just doing it just to grind, just to hustle so that you can say, well, I'm hustling more than the other person is, so that means that I'm going to win. If that's what you're thinking, then, and that's what you've been doing, it hasn't been working, just look at the results and then you can make a decision from there. So, as always for me, it's always going to be about full prosperity. How am I feeling about every part of my life? Family, health, spiritual. How am I thinking? How am I feeling moment to moment? And then the financial side of it, and that's why this book, The Energy of Money, is linked to that. And so that's why it's obviously important to have that part taken care of, the financial side. You have to be able to have that set in order to do all the other things. And in this day and age, like I always say, to be able to do that from home, hanging out backyard or wherever you're doing it, and doing business that way with people that you like. And that's one of the other things she talks about is, having to work with people that, I don't want to say bad people or whatever, but just that you don't want, you're taking on clients that you don't really want to take on just because you're grinding. So having the freedom to work with whom you want to work with and not work with whom you don't want to work with, and work where you want to work and when you want to work, if creating that kind of a lifestyle, that's what Prosper Daily is about. Yes. Feels great even just saying it. So anyway, that's the message for today. Hope you got something out of it, and see you guys around. That's all for now. Later.